In Leviticus 14, we watched the Creator open the door of restoration, from zarat and isolation back to community, worship and consecration. We saw two birds, blood and oil, ear, thumb and toe, and even houses cleansed when corruption spread to the walls. Leviticus 14 was about the Great Return, how someone once outside the camp could be brought back in, cleansed, anointed, and fully restored. But restoration doesn't just deal with dramatic diseases like Zara. What about the ongoing realities of the body, flows, emissions, and cycles you live with all the time? What about the bed you lie on, the chair you sit in, the person you touch? That's where Leviticus 15 comes in. This chapter brings holiness all the way down into the most ordinary, private parts of life. It deals with zavah and zavah, men and women with bodily discharges, and shows us how uncleanness is handled with washing, waiting, and offerings, so Israel can live close to the Creator without confusing uncleanness and sin, or shame and holiness. So let's worship the Creator with live sax and live music. Leviticus 15, holiness in the flow of everyday life. Welcome again to AsahxMusix Torah Studio. Here. If it's the first time that you're joining, we're asking you to excite us. Saxophone, worship and first life teaching. So today we're in Leviticus chapter 15, the Torah of men and women with bodily discharges. This chapter deals with real discharges beyond normal emissions like marital intimacy and night emissions, women's menstrual flow and prolonged bleeding. How these states make someone clean, it asks them what to do about it. Leviticus 15 is not about despising the human body, it's about protecting witness in the camp so that the people in the defile, set apart place of the Creator by approaching Him in a state of uncleanness. Get your gloves and let's study. I drop this volume. Okay. So let's read the first 3 verses, and it says, "And the Creator spoke to Moshe and to Aaron, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, When any man has a discharge from his flesh, his discharge is unclean. And this is his uncleanness in regard to his discharge. And whether his flesh runs with his discharge, or his flesh is stopped up by his discharge, it is uncleanness." So there we're seeing a general mention about cleanliness and uncleanness. The Creator is talking about flows, right? The key truth is that it's about when this happens. So it's not a matter of if, it's when. It's about real life situations in the body. It's not theory. This is not something embarrassing to discuss. The Creator tells us what is unclean, how long, and what to do. And there are boundaries around bodily flows so that holiness, health, and order are preserved in the community and in His presence. So we're looking at the man with a flowing discharge. It's unclean. Every bed that he lies on is unclean. Every object that he sits on is unclean. Let's read on. And this is his uncleanness in regard to his discharge. Whether his flesh runs with his discharge or his flesh is stopped by his discharge, it is his uncleanness. Any bed becomes unclean on which he who has this discharge lies, and any object on which he sits becomes unclean. And anyone who touches his bed has to wash his garments and shall bathe in water and be unclean until evening. He who sits on any object on which he who has the discharge side has to wash his garments and shall bathe in water and be unclean until the evening. And he who touches the flesh of him who has the discharge has to wash his garments and shall bathe in water and shall be unclean until evening. Verse 8. When he who has the discharge spits on him who is clean, then he shall wash his garments and shall bathe in water and be unclean until evening. Any saddle on which he who has the discharge rides becomes unclean. And whoever touches any of that which was on him is unclean until evening. He who is carrying them up has to wash his garments and shall bathe in water, clean until evening. Anyone whom he who has a discharge touches without rinsing his hands in water shall wash his garments and bathe in water and be unclean until evening. And the earthen vessel which he who has the discharge touches has to be broken. And every wooden vessel has to be rinsed in water. So there we stop at verse 12. Every object that he sits on is unclean. Whoever touches his bed or sits where he sat must wash his garments, bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. So looking at this chapter here, this was a direct instruction from Creator to Moshe and to Aaron. And these are laws that we've gotten regarding bodily discharge and how the Creator defined it clearly. So being set apart comes with clear instructions. Right, the bed becomes unclean, what you sit on becomes unclean. If contact is made, it spreads impurity, and uncleanness affects daily life. So there's a pattern. It transfers from the person to the bed, to the chair, to the saddle, and the response is always wash, bathe, wait until evening. Clear instruction. So what are we to get from this? The uncleanness is actually contagious. The Torah trains Israel to respect boundaries, to know that what touches the unclean becomes unclean, and that what water and time are the Creator's appointed remedies. In our personal life, we'll demonstrate certain attitudes, habits, or relationship functions, like a man, where there's flow and spread defilement. We must recognize how influence transfers and be willing to wash, reset, and sometimes break the vessel. The persons who we hang out with, the persons within our company, within our space, within our house, they significantly affect our spirituality. We have to ensure that we hang around persons who pursue Torah, pursue righteousness. We read verses 13-15. It says, "And when he who has a discharge is cleansed of his discharge, and then he shall count for himself 7 days for his cleansing, and shall wash his garments, and shall bathe his flesh in running water, and be clean. And on the 8th day he takes for himself 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, and shall come before the Creator to the door of the tent of appointment, and shall give them to the priest. And the priest shall prepare them, the one as a sin offering, and the other as an ascending offering. The priest shall make atonement for him before the Creator, cause of discharge." So we're seeing the path to cleansing, right? Garments, you bathe in water, you count the days, and you must note that cleansing, it follows a process. So the flow stopping is not the end of the process. There's a time, washing, and then offerings. Creator's way of restoration is both physical, it's also spiritual. Clean body, restored standing. Verse 16-18 says, "And when a man has an emission of semen, then he shall wash all his flesh in water and be unclean until evening. And any garment and any leather on which there is semen shall be also be washed with water, be unclean until evening. When a woman lies with a man and there is emission of semen, they both shall bathe in water and be unclean until evening." So it applies to both of them. This matter of being clean and being unclean. And we should know that uncleanness is not something that should cause moral guilt. Just wash if you have an emission, and and wait until evening. Clothing, you change your clothing, and both bathe in water and just be patient. This is a normal male function, and in marital intimacy, it's not a perversion really. The Torah still calls it uncleanness, but the remedy is simple: wash and wait until evening. There's no offering need to be sacrificed or anything like that. We should know that not all uncleanness equals sin. Some uncleanness is simply part of a life in a mortal physical body, just natural things that will happen. Creator gives us a rhythm of cleansing so that people live aware of His holiness without condemning what He designed. We must learn to distinguish between moral guilt, means repentance and atonement, and ritual uncleanness that needs washing and time. Normal bodily function that still needs to be handled with respect. Verse 19 says, "And when a woman has a discharge, and the discharge from her flesh is blood, she has to be in her circulation for 7 days. Whoever touches her is unclean until evening. And whatever she lies on during her separation is unclean, and whatever she sits on is unclean. And anyone who touches her bed has to wash his garments and shall bathe in water and be unclean until evening. And whoever touches any object that she sat on has to wash his garments and shall bathe in water and be unclean until evening. And if it is on the bed or on any object on which she sits, and he touches it, she is unclean until evening. And if a man lies with her at all, and her monthly flow is on him, he shall be unclean until 7 days. And any bed he lies on is unclean." So she's in her needle for 7 days. Whoever touches her is unclean. Everything she lies on or sits on is unclean. Whoever touches the objects that she comes in contact with must also bathe. And if he lies with her, yes. So this is a message to men to avoid this kind of harboring this kind of thought and pursuing this kind of action. It brings uncleanness. Menstrual cycling is pure, it's not sin, but it is a state of uncleanness that requires space, boundaries, and respect. The Torah actually builds a fence around this time so that holiness, health, and order are protected. In other cultures, menstruation is either shamed or ignored. People don't talk about it. Torah does not do that. It acknowledges it, regulates it, protects both the woman and the community. So this is about protection for the woman. What happens if the flow doesn't stop? Let's read on. Verse 25. And when a woman has a discharge of blood for many days other than at the time of her monthly separation, or when she discharges beyond her usual time of monthly separation, all days of her unclean discharge shall be as the days of her monthly separation. She is unclean. Any bed on which she lies on the days of her discharge is to her as the bed of her monthly separation. Whatever she sits on is unclean, as the uncleanness of her monthly separation. And anyone who touches them is unclean, and shall wash his garments, and shall bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. But if she is cleansed of her discharge, then she shall count for herself 7 days, and after that she is clean. And on the 8th day she takes for herself 2 turtles or 2 young pigeons, and shall bring them to the priest to the door of the tent of atonement. And the priest shall prepare the one as a sin offering, and the other as an ascending offering, and the priest shall make atonement for her before the Creator, for the discharge of her. We're getting more instructions on this very important matter. We're coming on to the big message of this study. So what it mirrors, the extended abnormal flow, followed by 7 days washing and offerings. The Creator addresses not only the ordinary monthly cycle, but also the prolonged punishment that affects her body, her relationships, and her worship. What this shows is that the Creator's heart for women whose bodies are not behaving typically the way it should, He does not ignore it. He makes a path of cleansing and restoration, honoring both her body and His holiness. Final few, I think it's verse 31 to the end says, Thus you shall separate the children of Israel from their uncleanness, lest they die in their uncleanness when they defile my dwelling place which is in their midst. This is the Torah for one who was a discharge, for him who emits semen, who is unclean thereby, and for her who is sick in her monthly separation, and for one who was a discharge, either man or woman, and for him who lies with an unclean woman, man. So it is clear there, separate Israel from uncleanness, do not defile the dwelling place, holiness must be guarded, and the Creator brings order and restoration. Holiness is not just in the sanctuary, it is in the bedroom, bathroom, the everyday body. The Creator dwells in the midst of His people, so He teaches them how to handle fluids, and contact in a way that honors His presence. So let's make set apartness ordinary. If you're in the camp, even when you're in the camp, you're always aware of what you touch, where you sit, whether someone is in the house, is in need of a man or woman, when to wash, when to wait, when to bring an offering. At first, when you're practicing this, it might feel a little restrictive, but over time you realize that the Creator is actually training you to live with a constant awareness of His nearness. When you handle your body, your marriage, the way you handle your bed, your clothes, and even your schedule is shaped by His holiness. It's no longer just about one day a week or one place in the camp. It's about every flow, every touch, every evening. So holiness actually touches the physical. The Creator cares about real bodies, about real flows, real beds, and everything. So for us today, let us take the instructions clearly, see that the distinctions are made between normal body flows and extended abnormal flows, and states that require offerings and atonement, so as people know when something is unclean and it is clean. This chapter that we just read protects the dwelling place from defilement and teaches Israel that holiness reaches into the most private, ordinary, physical parts of life. So as we finish Leviticus chapter 15, we see the definition of clean and unclean in the realm and of everyday bodily flows. It causes people to walk with awareness, with boundaries, and constant cleansing so His presence can dwell in their midst. Next up is chapter 16. We step into one of the most powerful days in all of Torah, the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur, where the high priest enters the most set-apart place once a year, and the sins and uncleanness of the whole nation are dealt with in one ordinary service. And then we'll close with a little more of the song that we started, live worship on the saxophone.